Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, on this particular day, at the age of 89, the amazing Kreskin has passed away. After having a long career in the mentalist business. Now, he never claimed to be a psychic. Mentalist is a term that magicians use, just like they're not really magicians, they're tricksters and liars and deceivers. That's what these stage tricksters are. And a lot of them like to add an aura of occultism or mysticism to it, like they are some great psychic or have some abilities. And of course, this just isn't true. And of course, he never really did that. And I've always liked him. He came off very well and intelligent, seeming to take the higher road of mentalism into the ESP area. But this really is not true. Um, in his later years, he was a strong debunker, getting into the camp with the unamazing Randy and all the other ones. And of course, he always criticized anything to do with mysticism. This can be noted on his TV show that was apparently filmed and produced in Canada. I think it was on for 3 or 4 years, which was an interesting show, and he had some notable people at that time. Again, we're talking about the 70s, where everybody was kind of crazy into mysticism and a lot of occultism. He had Sybil Leek, the famous witch, on there, and called her the most strange person she's ever met. He also stated in his show on several occasions that he doesn't want to foster mysticism or occultism in any way whatsoever. He's a graduate of Seton Hall, the private Roman Catholic Research University. So this guy comes from that background. He is a Polish Sicilian heritage. And so there's no way we can say that this person was in any way open to even psychic powers. Certainly not. He wouldn't call himself psychic, because that is labeled by his great church to be demonic. But of course, that was not the case when he started out, and where he was very popular when the basic ESP was very popular, putting out a famous game called Kreskin's ESP. And there were several other tools to follow, and he was riding the wave of ESP. And he wrote pamphlets and other things supporting ESP. And in general, he was going in that direction to stay away from mysticism, keeping it as this psychological empowerment. But when ESP or psychic power fell out of favor with the public, being branded by the lunatic Christians as some sort of evil practice, like God didn't give you ESP, right? But as I said, I even knew a Christian woman who didn't know how to spell psychic, because that was considered a dirty word in the 90s. That was considered occultism, so she didn't even want to learn how to spell it. So, and that's the problem with using psychic today, is that it now has this discolor by the general ignorant populace. But I'm not sure why we should care what the populace thinks. We can look at the world we have today and we can say, well, yeah, we want to thank everybody for that, particularly the masses who have done so well. So we shouldn't really worry about what other people say. But he's probably one of the most misunderstood guys. I always found him interesting. I liked his intensity. He seemed very intelligent. I don't know how he would be if you met him. As I said, I'm sure that there would be problems right away. I forget what I contacted his manager about a few years ago. I think I was trying to get some products and finding out if he still had some of his older tools. And the minute they found out to the kind of organization I was running, he ran for the hills and never heard from them again. So, I mean, that pretty much shows it. But as I said, he's stated his disdain and hate for, quote, occultism or mysticism. And he never even bothered to call himself a psychic, because as I just mentioned. So he called himself a mentalist. And as he said, mentalism, or being a mental case, is part of the theatrical magician's reality. where they have all these different tricks that appear to be ESP type abilities, but they're nothing more than tricks. And they are like all magic, theatrical magic. It's fascinating and amazing. And they're little gimmicks and cards and things that you have. I always love looking at the tricks, and I've practiced them myself, from all the spoon bending stuff to the mentalist tricks, and they are amazing of how these things work. And but they are tricks. Nothing going on has anything to do with higher states of consciousness, which real people with which have biophysical abilities, which is the term I like to use, coming from the Russians, um, has is been proven by any. None of it is done. All these magicians, no matter whom they are all fakes, and they are doing tricks. And if they make lots of money because it's impressive, but there's also a lot of shenanigans going on. They're messing with cameras. They have a lot of people they send in who are people they claim are from their audience, but really are shills for them. And it goes on and on with these things, that it is all staged, plain and simple. The whole thing is staged. They're all tricks. There's no natural abilities there. And it's really sad. The only person that really had that in recent times that we can note, who's still alive, is Uri Geller, who did some magic tricks as well, but has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt on film and by top scientists to have very strong abilities. So this is without a doubt, and you can believe every dumb bunker in the world out there to the difference of that, but it's not true. Now, there were a few people in the past David Hoy is a famous magician that seemed to be involved in, again, you're talking about the 60s when everybody was into psychic powers and ESP. So he blended in there well. He made some good money, David Hoy. I'm trying to think if there are other ones. Kreskin, of course, is the survivor of it. He did live to be, as I said, 89. Apparently, his last few months here, he had, or a little while ago, he suffered from a fall, apparently, and has been in a convalescent, or he's been in a assisted care facility. They state on Sewerpedia that he was suffering from dementia. So I don't know. That's what they're saying on Sewerpedia. The family has come out and not said any of that. And of course, it's unlikely you're going to come out and state that anyway. He's 89, so he did pretty good. I'm assuming he died from natural causes, and that's all part of it. So, but making it to 89 is pretty damn good in this day and age. Average life expectancy, people, is approximately 77 to 80. Depending on where you are and what's going on, it's not unusual for people to live to be 85 all around the world. But it really depends on where you live, if you're making it up to that 90 area, and if you are lucid. So the whole idea is we don't know how lucid he was at the end time, but he had stopped he worked up until relatively recently and was always very active, and obviously that keeps you going. But obviously a health problem, and I don't know if the fall was made up so they could then say the reason why he went into the hospital or not, but apparently it is claimed on Sewerpedia that he did have dementia. Whatever, that certainly isn't very shocking in this day and age. Everybody's going to get dementia, apparently, and a few other cancers to add to that. But his history is interesting. As I said, I've always liked the guy. He's always kind of played this psychic good luck thing. He's had a number. Now, I've got a couple of his. This is one of his more rarer tools out there, the Celtic Oracle. And it's really, and I don't believe he had anything to do with making these tools. Get a little snap. These things pop up on eBay. It's really, his tools are the best psychic training tools out there, the best dowsing tools out there. And I've recommended his tools, his games for years. And he is known to sell his name to lots of people. As a matter of fact, I believe it was in the late 90s or early 2000s. that there was a suit filed against him because someone bought his name and defrauded people. Now, it's nothing to do with him. I mean, these things happen. You sell your name. Somebody says, well, I want to put out something and sell this or whatever, everything else, and if you let me use your name, I'll pay you X amount of money. And you look at the product and say, well, fine, why not? Slap my name on there and send me that big check. But apparently this was a fraudulent organization. But that's not the case with Lana. Now, his ESP game, which you can see the up here. This was the screen you used. And of course, you had a board and pendulums and ESP cards. And this came out in 1960. Was it 68 or something? It was pretty much in the late 60s, but not that late, meaning it wasn't the 70s. So that game came out, really a great game. Taught you how to sense shapes, colors, use the pendulums, had a great pendulum board with it. Where is that? I got that board as well. I'm going to show here. All of that was part of what he put out. And these, I don't believe that he in any way was involved in making these. They went to parapsychologists and had them designed. As a matter of fact, this board here and the accompanying, let's see if we can see this. It's hard to let me get this out of the way. This is the dowsing board, and you can see there's yes, no. He's got numbers here. As I said, it's a little hard with this camera unless I pull way back. Numbers that you could dowse, the alphabet, etc. Really nice board, and I use this all the time still for my dowsing still. It's great tools. He had several pendulums, a really nice one made by 3M, which I find to be, which was based on the stock market. Buy, sell. Which is made out of lucite, plastic, and I found that pendulum to be excellent. And it's very attractive, and I use it pretty much daily. I like that. I have it on my desk, etc. I don't have it in here, but there are other things that he actually made. But so we have these things. Now, I have found the ESP board, the game, the most famous one that came out in the late 60s, has names of other magicians from other countries. There's one from Australia, and there's one from Great Britain, I believe, where they actually put that famous mentalist name on there. So it's unlikely that this was Kreskin's design and that he was being paid for it. What it is that who did you go to if you were Milton Bradley and wanted to get somebody who had mentalist powers, which back then, again, was very much involved in ESP? Well, the number one dude in the 60s in America was Kreskin. So that gave you a big boost out there to get a noticeable name. So when people went into the stores, back then they were in stores, and on the shelf they had all these games, seeing his name brought some quite a notability. Secondly, this was a time of TV, everybody, and people watched TV. He was on the very popular Johnny Carson, Mike Douglas, who else? Merv Griffin, all the people that most of the young ones out there have never even heard of anymore. He was on all those shows. It always was a good act. It was always fun. I don't think anybody turned the channel or turned away. So bringing him, putting his name on things, generated interest and, of course, into sales. And he was not well known overseas, like in Australia or the UK. I don't know if he's known at all. So what they did there is they put the mentalist for that country there, and of course sold it that way. Again, this Celtic Oracle is a fantastic teaching game. It teaches you how to use pendulums with a really cool design. I used to sell these in a converted model of it. Do we have it? Really cool game. And these are the kind of things, if you make stuff fun. He has this really cool, which works pretty good even though it's heavy, this really cool pendulum. that you get with it. As I said, I used to sell these with some special instructions, and I used to modify them. It comes with this kind of tree stump. Very smart, whoever designed this, and I can guarantee you that it was an old Sicilian Christian boy. Very cool, and of course it came with cards and stuff. You would ask questions, and then you would check it with the pendulum. Really cool. I highly recommend this. Watch for these on eBay, and fantastic. You know, if you're going to learn stuff, and I'm a big fan of this, make it fun. You can learn and become very powerful at the use of dowsing and pendulums if it's done in a fun way. If you're doing it under stress or in a kind of a teaching setting where you have people around you with pendulums and you're not doing something fun, well, this limits your learning capacities dramatically. You tend to only reach a certain level. Make it fun, make it interesting, make it something that people want to do. Adding in, like, this has questions and answers of it, so you can, which is a lot of fun. So all that is very fascinating. Now, and what does it say down here? Let Kreskin's Celtic Oracle answer your questions if you dare. So, I mean, that's another aspect of it that was fun, and the way they did it. This was made by Funx Games. I doubt if they're in business anymore. They were out of Indianapolis, Indiana. I know I contacted them about 10 or 15 years ago, about 10 years ago, and I think they were around. I tried to get parts from them. I wanted to get those pendulum. That's really cool. And here we go. We're going to have the little reading of the back of this. The amazing Kreskin has astonished audiences for over 30 years by demonstrating mysterious powers of the human mind. The world's foremost mentalist can reveal unspoken thoughts of the audience members, locate hidden objects, and even predict events before they happen. So, I mean, it's a really fun game. It's well made. It's cool, just like the other one. And again, these are most likely made by some sort of dowsing experts. Or like with the ESP game, I have a feeling that was designed by a parapsychologist. I'm not sure who was involved with that, but it is done very professional, giving you what would be a common. So I don't know who was involved in that, but I can pretty much tell you that that was. And as he said, he had his stock market Kreskin crystal with a K. Those, again, you can find on eBay today for around 30 to 50 bucks. And these are other tools. I'm trying to think what else he has. Of course, he's written many books. These books have good information in them on basic high-level psychic functioning and ESP. There's a lot of good information there. Now, he never did very well with any of his psychic stuff or his predictions. And he did make a lot of predictions, and he tended to have these wrong. He also got himself banned from the Art Bell Show 25 years ago when he predicted a UFO sighting and told people to go watch this, that they're going to be UFOs there. And that they did not, and these UFOs did not manifest. Art Bell spoke with him. He made a bunch of excuses, then claimed that, well, there really was UFO did show up after the cameras had left, that someone did see that, because he offered to donate $50,000 to a charity if the UFOs didn't show up. And, of course, he never did that. You learn that in Catholic school, Kreskin baby. So the whole idea is that, like everybody, there is problems with him, but he is generally just a magician. He had very minor psychic powers. If you watch his old TV show or the bits he does, they're just standard stuff. You know, the minute a magician or someone pulls out playing cards, well, the game's over with. This is obviously something that is rigged, that it is, these are tools that are made by particular people so that they can do this, but that's not a proof of psychic power. You know, doing stuff, guessing cards and stuff, that's very contrived. So you got to be careful what people do. And we can see even here, like this picture here, um, it doesn't look like he actually has the actual tool at all. This is very fake. They put this here. They put this here. They put probably the whole thing here, and they just put his head in here. That's it. It looks like it's all a Photoshop there, or as they used to say, superimposed there. So I doubt if he had it. He sold his name and likeness to them, and they paid him a fee for it. He most likely, or I can almost guarantee it, that and this came out in 1999, is when this came out. He approved it. They told him what they wanted to do. I'm sure they showed him a concept of it, and he approved it. And so it's not a problem there. And it is a purely psychic dowsing game that does teach you dowsing and pendulum use. So it's fantastic. Like all the stuff he slapped his name on that I've ever seen, they all are good. Point is, as I said, the predictions he's made and so forth have all basically, from what I followed him a wee bit, have all never come true. And as he said, he got into that problem with Art Bell, and Art Bell banned him because it was an obvious publicity stunt, and it made Bell look bad and certainly made him look bad. He does, the special thing about his particular show was the fact that he would, they would hide his paycheck for the performance that he was doing somewhere in the building, and he had to then go and find it. And apparently, he failed about 12 or 13 times, which added up to quite a bit of money. So he did free shows then. But his record still was quite amazing to find the check. And this was all done by nuances. So if you watch somebody and you ask them questions like, where is my check? You can look in their eyes. You'll see that maybe if it's to the left of them, you'll see their eyes or their body will move to the left a little bit. And this is how you pin things down. Then you go on to the next person, and this is the way you do things through keen observation. It has nothing to do with psychic power. If he had psychic power, he would pretty much state that, but he didn't. And as I said, if you look at all the different demonstrations he's done, these are right out of all of the magic catalogs out there. I don't know why people are so amazed and why they don't look at. I think people think you have to have a license or something to buy magic tricks. That if you're not part of the Magic Guild, that you can't get these tricks. You certainly can, and they're available online in many places. And all the stuff that you see these people doing that they take and make it more dramatic, like Chris Angel's another one, all this stuff can be bought online, many of it for pennies. But, magicians are tricksters and liars. And as I said, that what they're trying to do is to debunk all of higher functioning human abilities, otherwise commonly known as the biophysical or psychic, and that's the reality. So they all do that. Chris Angel did that when he was on a show as well, even though he's one of the worst people, acting like he has some sort of abilities. What is it, David Blaine? He's another one that insinuates special abilities to make his show better. They're just tricks, and a lot of these tricks you can literally buy for under $10 on any magic trick site. And they'll jazz it up, they'll do something to it, etc., etc. And of course, they mess with the cameras. I mean, David Blaine was famous for his levitation stuff, and that was all faked and spliced together, and all that was done there. Even though he states that he doesn't do that, he does do it, and it's as simple as that. It's just the way he edits this stuff. It's a gray area of whether he has staged it or not. But I'm not sure anybody's going to come out and say that they are magically empowered anyway. I don't even think that David Blaine would do that. Certainly Chris Angel denies it, even though he wants to make this mysticism from it. And of course, the bottom line is, as a magician told me, I got into this discussion with, who wants to go out and see a fake psychic? Oh, you want to go to that show? It's amazing. The guy's a fake psychic. Well, that takes all the romance out of it. The whole idea is it's supposed to be mystical. Even the famous Penn and Teller tend to do this themselves, putting an aura of mystique around what they do, even though they tend to be more front and center with the fact that this is magic, that they don't have abilities. In a lot of ways, that's almost saying that you do. It's kind of the counter. Oh yeah, well you just can't admit it, can you, Teller? Oh yeah, but you really do, don't you? So the whole idea is these are all the game that goes on, and these are two guys, Penn and Teller, that worth $150 million each. So magic pays well, as is David Copperfield, who's extremely wealthy, one of the most wealthiest performers on the planet, and more people have seen him than any other live act, I believe. We haven't heard much from him lately, but I'm sure he's out there. And all the rest of them are out there. So that's all part of the reality that we have to look at of what's going on. So the bottom line is that Kreskin never said he had abilities. When he could, he came out and he said directly on his TV show that he in no way wants to foster belief in the occult or occultism or mysticism in general. He said that, even though he had witches and other people on, that he treated relatively poorly, and others as well, doubting what they were doing, kind of making them look in a bad light. But then he tried to play the game, which was typical of the game in the 1960s, where this kind of stuff was thought to be commonplace and real, as was Carlos Castanedis and all the claims that he made of teleporting and doing this and that. I mean, people in the 60s read that book as a factual document, that all of that happened. And of course, that's ridiculous. And I don't think Carlos Castanedis ever did anything to prove his ability to anybody. He made a lot of money with some very well made and I feel good books. And then hid out with a whole bunch of women and spent the rest of his life living off of his profits. So that's the kind of stuff that we run into. But Kreskin had a lot of very interesting tools and still do. As I said, I recommend that you check these out on eBay and other places where you can find them. Really great. The ESP, his ESP game that he put out that you can get inexpensively is probably the finest psychic training tool available, particularly for very low cost. So you can get one of these games in good condition, probably for under $20, maybe under $15, and you've got everything in there. You've got pendulums, you've got ESP cards, you've got color cards, you've got a dowsing tools and a dowsing charts. All of them are there. It's all there for a low cost. And it's a lot of fun. And as I've just showed you here with the Celtic Oracle, another fun tool that he has. As he said, he even made up a little amulet, which was a good luck charm. And these are things he sold as well, and you can find those occasionally online. Again, he doesn't have any mystical power. He doesn't apparently even have much of psychic power. He's a mentalist, a person who is into observation and other things. And of course, he has the base ESP, but it doesn't really seem like he has developed that much. He claimed that he read, was it 3 books a day or at least 1 book a day all his life, and that's how he kept himself on the edge. And that's what I kind of liked about him. He seemed to be more of the intellectual person, the person seeking knowledge and power, while all the other magicians really were just sensationalists. And that's all. They were only really seeking the big bucks they got from their little tricks they did to everybody on the street or other places. And so if you know what you're doing, and people should study magicians and know that. When I see magicians now, I know what they're doing, I know where to look, etc. It's very, very typical. And it's not difficult to find out to catch them doing what they're doing if you know where to look, because their whole idea is to distract you. This was done by the unamazing Randy on the Barbara Walters show, where he bent a key because she said that she had a key bent by Uri Geller. And while he was talking to her, he picked up the key that was on the desk in front of him with his right hand and distracted her. And he took the key and pressed it against the arm of the chair and bent it. And you could see it clearly, him doing that if you watch that. Then he brought it back like it never left the the desk, holding it up in front of her, saying, "Well, you're going to keep this forever now, Barbara." So the whole idea is that it's obvious what they're doing and how they do it. And there are many very sophisticated tricks now that you can buy for a few $100s to bend things. But the bending of spoons and everything else is still illusionary, because a lot of that stuff is not available in terms of what you think is on the market. But there are lots of, again, tricks of how you do it. And they are tricks. But he's an interesting character. I was wondering when we're going to have problems with him, because I haven't seen him in a few years. But apparently, as I said, he has, typically with old age, slipping into dementia, etc. And now he has actually passed away. But he certainly has left some really good books, and there's lots of these you can still find. A lot of them are in print on different psychic matters and mind empowerments. And as I mentioned, lots of great tools. These tools are the best out there, and they're generally fairly priced. These you can really learn ESP and dowsing through his inexpensive game. Or get the Oracle here, which again will teach you dowsing and is really cool. These are a little harder to get, and you have to watch for them, but it's out there, and this is what I consider his legacy. His legacy is that a lot of people think that he was kind of on the good guy side, on the people who were developing their abilities, because of his ESP connection. And of course, that's what he wanted, and that's how he started off. He moved away from that in recent years, actually for quite some time, going into the fact that this was just mentalism, that this is just magic, and he did not. I don't think he said the term ESP in the last 25 years. He also had newsletters on ESP. I can't find any of these, but he did sell newsletters. So he was very active in trying to make money, as most people have to do in show business, just like Uri Geller and other people have to do to put on a good show. You got to make money or you don't survive. So the whole idea is that this was the reality that he left, and I think that's a fairly decent legacy. And as I said, he's written at least 7 to 10 books, which have interesting information. And also, he's got some practical magical things, how to become a Kreskin, how to become like Kreskin. I believe that was a DVD, and he showed you the tricks that he did to trick people, and magical tricks. So, I mean, it's all out there. As a person, I mean, this guy was a conservative Roman Catholic and had no love or interest in anybody who was into mysticism or cultism, period. As a matter of fact, he was highly against them and even made fun of people on national TV at a time when that wasn't even all that acceptable. Hope you enjoyed. Till next time.